What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today, man, we've got a cool gun for you. Today, we have a firearm that I wasn't sure if I'd ever get for testing. I honestly wasn't sure if I'd ever get to shoot, and honestly, a gun that I've never seen before in person until a couple of days ago. This is the H&K P7, the squeeze cocker pistol. This is the PSP edition, Police Self-Loading Pistol, the original. That is my dog drinking water, so give us a second. Now this pistol has a very interesting history and track record, honestly a little more in depth than I initially thought it did. I wasn't aware that this pistol was used by American law enforcement agencies, but it was. And not only that, it was used by many German law enforcement agencies and many other agencies around the world, but that's not really its claim to fame. Its claim to fame is A, it was in Die Hard and Hans Gruber's the man. B, it also is one of the most unique, if not the most unique pistol ever made. This is an extremely rare single stack firearm, and it actually has a magazine release on the grip, similar to the old Berettas. Now there's an awful lot of things that make the P7 unique, but let's start with the obvious, the squeeze cocker. I believe this is the only pistol that actually does this, and it makes it interesting to use. If you're trying to get this to work, you want to squeeze it all the way in so it clicks, and you can see the pin come out the back, then you can pull the trigger. They come with white dot sights, they have serrations on the top, they have a very, very low bore axis, good slide serrations, phenomenal trigger, which we'll get into here in a minute. Polymer grips, and they actually have the original European magazine release, which the original PSPs have, which is pretty cool. They actually changed it to a paddle release, I believe, for the American law enforcement agencies. We did shoot a little bit of this, although not as much as we normally do. It is pretty rare, so I didn't want to buff it up and ding it up too much. Now, if you want to operate the gun, it's pretty easy. You just load your single stack magazine and you rack your slide. And then what you do after that, if you want to fire the gun, is you actually squeeze the grip here, and as you can see, the back of the indicator, and then as soon as you have that, you can actually pull the trigger, and it's a very light trigger pull. And the reason for that is because you are already engaging the striker fired mechanism right there, and all you have to do is release it with the trigger, unlike engaging halfway on something like a Glock, for example, which is right here. So a Glock pistol, you engage the last half of the striker mechanism with the trigger here, so we defeat the trigger safety. As you can see here, there's a lot longer and heavier trigger pull on a Glock, maybe 6 or 7 pounds. Advertised 5.5, but it's never that. And on the P7 here, if you actually squeeze the squeeze cocker in there, it's hard to actually squeeze that and show you. Ultra light trigger pull, very similar to a single action gun like a 1911, because the single action gun, you already cock the action when you rack the slide, and then all you have to do is release it, just like on the P7. But the P7 actually has this really interesting squeeze cocker mechanism, which definitely has its pros and cons. We'll get into here in a second. Very cool an idea. Somewhat not so cool in use, but I doubt a lot of you are going to be carrying this pistol. It's probably going to be a wall hanger, so I don't know if you got to worry about it that much. But in all fairness, it has been tested heavily through police agencies and also military agencies. It was tested by not only the German military, but I believe it was tested by the United States military as well, I think in the 80s, and then the Beretta 92 was adopted instead as the M9. But I think a lot of the reason that is the case is because these are extremely expensive, and even back then, they were very expensive to produce. Now basically what happens when you fire the gun is you fire the gun and it's got a gas port in there. And there's a couple pistols on the market that do that, but not very many. The only one I can really think of is the Alien, and I believe the Alien was heavily influenced by this pistol. So it's kind of cool that they both have a very unique action, although in operation you don't notice that much. Gas operation pistols, as far as Browning action systems, don't really differ that much when you actually shoot the gun, aside from the fact that the gas operated guns generally have a fixed barrel. So usually the barrel is right in line for feeding, and on top of that, it does make it a little bit more accurate. I've never touched one of these before. I don't even know how to use it yet, and I'm hitting 75. Now another interesting thing here is the magazine, you would think, sits on the exact axis of the grip angle. It's got a very comfortable grip angle to it, but it actually seats up and in a little bit weird. So the first time you reload the gun, you want to press it forward, but it actually goes back a little bit. And the reason for that is going to be because of the feeding. When you actually have a gun like this, it actually feeds better straight up. So they actually off-angled the magazine chute or the magazine well, so it's better grip for your hand, and they still get that ideal feeding. Now, in the actual testing of the gun, I think we only shot 50 rounds or so. Again, just because I didn't want to put too many rounds through it because it is old. That being said, when we shot it, it was cool, but it does have some quirks to it, I'll be honest. Now, the issue is going to be with being able to squeeze the cocker down and actually pull the trigger independently from each other. The only issue that you'll find is it's difficult to squeeze your hands down and not squeeze the trigger down at the same time. So just make sure you do that when you are shooting. Now you can see in the footage, it was very accurate. We did get hits at 75 yards. And again, I only shot 50 rounds through it. I've never touched the gun before, so that does show that the gun is accurate. It's also relatively fast, and it does have pretty low recoil considering the gun's size and weight. And I think a lot of that has to do with the very, very low slide mass, very low bore axis, and overall the gun just stays very flat while you're shooting it. And again, does feel a little bit like the Alien, where gas-operated guns do have a very unique recoil and pulse. Overall though, I think what a lot of people are really interested in with the P7 is all the movie lineage and all the super cool guy stuff that comes with the HKP7. Very similar to the MP5 or maybe the Mark 23. The gun is just super cool. It's cool to own, it's cool to look at, it's cool to hang up, and it's really cool to take to the range every once in a while. I don't think, again, most people are going to use this as a concealed carry gun, although you absolutely could. And the reason why you could do that is it is small, it is light, and it is very skinny, so it would be a great carry gun. That is what it was designed for in the first place. It is a very safe gun because you do have the squeeze cocking mechanism, so the gun is never going to fire accidentally, that's for damn sure. But it is very rare and is very expensive, so it is up to you whether you want to beat this gun up every day or not. But I would definitely recommend you just keep it in a case somewhere and show it off to your friends every once in a while. Please like and subscribe, please support Oklahoma shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.